The Calibishie Chronicle tradition continues, and on this particular volume or episode I would like to deal with the building blocks of the Calibishie community. And mark you, I said community and not village, because although Calibishie is a village, Calibishie is one big community comprising of several different little communities. I mean, Livia Do, Livia Sally, Backstreet, Lima Ridge, Baptist, just call all the communities. We form this wonderful edifice called Calibishie. The difference between a village, I think, and a community is that a village is a general space where people live and exist and do things in a communal way. A community goes beyond that. A community possesses building blocks and infrastructure, institutions that help propel people beyond village life. So Thompson was a villager, I was a community person. So Thompson did his thing to help the community, but Thompson was the village comedian. Cuthbert Joseph was a community person. Ali Louisa, community person. People like this transcended beyond the Calibishie community and represented the village beyond. That's the difference between a community and a village. So let us just say that Calibishie is a village community. And we still are. Because Calibishie people have represented and continue to represent in places far and wide. But let's talk about the institutions in terms of the building blocks of Calibishie. And I begin by mentioning two names. Kakam and CYAN. Or let's say Campbell Challenger. These two people, I remember them quite vividly in my younger formative years. Well, my mother, my father, my grandmother and grandfather, my big sister, and my family, they were the ones who started forming me. Family meant a lot in the day when I was a boy. And out of this family protection, Kakam picked us up as Cub Scouts. And my grandmother, my mother, my sister would drop me on the hill by Kakam. And for 2 hours, Kakam would drill us in terms of etiquette, discipline, manners, respect for authority and for self, politeness, and the entire gamut of disciplines that children would need at that particular stage. Kakam would teach us how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, how to relate in difficult situations and circumstances, how not to be disrespectful. And when we did something wrong, Kakam would not spank us, but she gave us a look which tells us, look, fix yourself. And we had to fix ourselves. And if we didn't do it, when our parents came, Kakam said, Alex was not a very good boy today. And my mother said, you know what? Or my grandmother, apologize to Kakam, say I will not do it again. And we had to do it. I didn't have to do it very many times, but there were times when these things happened. So we spent a couple of years. Now I'm talking about my time at Kakam as a cub, between 5, maybe 5 for the most. I couldn't have been older than 5. And then we spent like a couple of years, and then we moved on to scouting, Boy Scout. And Mr. Campbell Challenger, that's where he came into our lives. Oh my God, what a man. He was the chief acolyte too. I was an acolyte as well. So I had to be good because I was an acolyte and a scout, and my chief acolyte was the scout leader. So I had to put myself in order. I think it was the 17 Dominica or 16 Dominica or 15, one of them, scout troop. William Bugunu was one of the leaders. I think he was one of the deputy leaders. I was a patrol leader eventually. And patrol leader meaning that I was in charge of a particular patrol. There were a number of different patrols in the scouting business. So I was leading the patrol. William was the deputy leader. So I had rank in the scouting business, And I remember one of the highlights of scouting in Calibishie was that every second Sunday at Mass, we had to be part of the ceremony. Every second Sunday, the church opened up its doors to the boys. And we would march down from the Calibishie school up to the church, go up to the, in somewhere, maybe up the village, and then march back down. So the village used to expect to see the boys march every second Sunday. And then we would march into the church, and when we get into the entrance of the church, we would go into a slow march, or we call it the dead march. And we would just walk in there with precision. The church would be quiet as the boys marching through the aisles. And then when we get to the top, there were seats preserved or reserved for us at the front pew. Now tell me, which boy would not be disciplined at those times? To be given such preeminence, such respect, such exposure to the community. We had to have been good boys. And of course, there were some boys who were not part of the scouting thing, and we know the story of those boys. So we're not talking about the negatives, we're talking about the positives of Calibishie. So these were the things that helped to build character and structure in Calibishie. And alas, these are some of the things that we have lost, but we can get it back with Chase and these guys who are part of the council now. We can do these things, guys. We can revive Calibishie. So the main intention of this series of episodes, volumes, program, is to wake up the dead, sleeping spirit in Calibishie so the community can be vibrant again. Especially now that we have a younger councillor. Still, Froggy is still there, but Froggy is still young. Froggy will forever be young because Froggy has goodness at heart. So these are the institutional building blocks of Calibishie. Some of them, I will mention a few more later on. But because of the limitation of the episodes and the time that we spend on each particular volume, I would like to end here, to leave that with you, so that we think and get ready for another such discussion on Calibishie Chronicle.